Hello, people of the internet. I was going to say universe, but I guess that works. Hello, people of the internet. I am just going to give a little bit of an introduction as to why I think that I like horror psychologically. So, firstly, I'm not a huge fan of like very depressing movies. I'm not a huge fan of movies that I will do it. I will experience it. I'll do what I need to do. But at the same time, why I think that horror is different for me, horror, thriller, supernatural suspense, all of this shit is because I think that it's a way of looking and digesting life and death without it being such a complete mirroring of what actually happens in you know, I guess the average person's life. Um, for example, Hereditary. Okay, that was one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen. One of my favorite movies of the recent decades. But you watch that movie and there are a lot of things that connect to real life as far as things being passed down in a hereditary, fashion, genetics, all of that shit. And trust me, I am a student of psychology, so I completely understand all of that. However, add all of the other aspects to it, and that is not a typical life experience that you or I would experience. If you are experiencing something like Hereditary, I seriously urge you to seek some type of help. I don't know if it should be from a priest. I don't know if it should, I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, especially the second half or the second act. Um, but I think that horror, in a way, is comforting to a lot of us because it allows us to face and deal with death and a lot of our own worst fears without actually having to deal with them. And yes, that's a very obvious notion, but I think that it goes a little bit deeper as far as like, we're not going to have to deal with most of that shit. I'm not going to have to run from Michael Myers. Not a huge slasher fan, by the way, but I still have my, you know, my respect for a lot of things. Halloween being, one of the best was like the original slasher. But I think that there's something about, there are people that call me or us or whatever, the people that love this genre, kind of sick and twisted. And frankly, I think, or that we're callous or whatever. And you know what? I think that may be true in some areas, but I think that honestly we're more sensitive than other people. I think that the love for horror comes from a sensitivity to what truly is real people facing life and death. And I will just speak from personal experience. I think that it is a lot easier for me personally as a human being to I'll just give an example. It's a lot easier for me to watch somebody fucking gutted like a goddamn deer than it is for me to watch a scene of somebody truly losing their grandmother in a hospital due to a stroke or something like that. That's just too real. For me, it's almost just like I I get a catharsis from being able to comprehend and acknowledge death in a way that is fictional, and in a way that is usually very dramatized or very, very exuberant, unrealistic. Not unrealistic, but, in a way that is way more dramatized, hyped up. There are suspense aspects, you're scared, you're this, that, the other. There's a lot of other emotions that go on in a horror movie that distract from the sadness of a death. And I know that that sounds like fucked up, but it's just the truth. And I really would argue that horror movie fans are frankly almost more sensitive than people that don't like horror movies. Um, I really kind of, at least for myself, I'm a very, I wouldn't call myself sensitive, but I'm very emotional. It's hard for me to watch, like movies that are not horror that deal with death or Alzheimer's disease, or things that are actually like real in my life. um I find it a lot easier to watch it in a horror setting. For example, I'm a caregiver. I care for people with dementia and Alzheimer's. It is a lot easier for me to watch and digest The Haunting of Deborah Logan rather than The Notebook, or I mean, there are a lot of much better ones that have come out recently, and yes, I still watch them, but sometimes I just want to kind of come to terms with life and life itself without having to, in like a more abstract way, without having to just watch what I see at work every day or what I see with my family every day kind of just being reconstructed in front of me. And no, this does not mean that these films aren't great. These films are fucking great. But for me, when it comes to like me wanting to cope and deal, I come home and I watch a horror version of it. I watch a much heightened emotion, part of it. So I guess that's just something that I kind of just wanted to bring up. And I'm just starting this. I have a lot to say about a lot of things revolving around this genre, or horror, thriller, whatever. I really am kind of more into that kind of shit. I like suspense. I like, but horror is my game. And I have a lot to say about it, and I think that it's very, very misunderstood by a lot of people. They go to horror movies just to be able to hug their boyfriends tighter and throw popcorn in the air and jump scares, which I think are the absolute poor man's situation to actually scaring people. I'm not a fan of jump scares. I think that they're lazy. But at the same time, see, again, I have a lot to say about this. So this is kind of like an introductory thing. I really wanted to kind of like introduce my own psychology of what I feel about horror and why I like it so much. Again, I'm not trying to speak for everybody else. I'm just trying to kind of like psychoanalyze myself right now into trying to figure out what about horror that I like so much, but not even what I like about it. It's just what about it gives me such a catharsis in my own real life. So I appreciate you listening to me. I hope that you tune in, and I hope that I don't get lazy about this and just not, continue with this. So only time will tell. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I mean, this is one video, so I'm not going to ask you to subscribe right this second. If you like it and you think that you'll like my content, great. But like I said, time will tell, and we will see. But I do have a lot to say, and I don't have a lot of people in my life to say it to. So I would like to say it to you and see what you think of what I have to say. And I think that as horror fans, we do fall into a sort of niche, and we got to stick up. We got to have each other's backs. We gotta support each other and tell each other about good films that are out there, and just all that stuff. So yeah, I think I'll cap it at that. By the way, my name is Taylor, and yeah, hopefully I will see you very soon.